All right, so welcome to week 20, and this week is a pretty important episode to me and something that I've wanted to do for a really long time, and that is to interview Zac Pettit, who is the founder of T2KO, otherwise known as It's Time to Know Osteosarcoma. Now, if you follow the journey the whole way through, you'd know without Zac, I would not be doing anything that I'm doing today, so I am super grateful, but I do believe he has a very, very good story to tell. You're probably just used to my training clips and me struggling through every week, but hopefully you can see why I'm doing this and why I'm trying to do this challenge. And I want you to see the extraordinary things that Zac is doing by running a non-for-profit charity. Now, I wanted to dedicate an entire episode to this, and it's going to be a long one. So we've sat down on a podcast 2 days ago, and I'm going to include most of it in this vlog. Now, I've never said this before in 21 episodes, but Zac and myself, as well as T2KO, would really love your support by liking and sharing the video and hopefully getting Zac's story out to more people than we could ever imagine. We do have an amazing and beautiful documentary that we do have on the way for T2KO. And honestly, it's really hard to edit. I said that to Zac. And honestly, I'm not a super emotional person. I'm quite awkward, to be honest. But I really hope you get something out of this video, because Zac's story is incredible. And I think what he's done in such a short space is truly inspiring. I'd love every single person to click on this video and watch it to now understand Zac's story and why we're doing it for T2KO and what osteosarcoma is. So I'll stop speaking and please enjoy the podcast.
Can I just start by saying Happy Valentine's Day?
Happy Valentine's Day.
We're not even... So we met in June of last year. So we're not even 1 year in. Did you bring me a rose?
No, I didn't bring you any of them. We're both stuck in traffic for 2 hours.
If it wasn't for me, you wouldn't be YouTube famous, bro.
Yeah.
You don't have a girlfriend, do you?
Nah.
Girls, if you're watching.
That's why we're here on Valentine's Day together.
Yeah, I definitely don't.
So you feature in here in the Melbourne Sean 70.3.
I did have a little
You
cheeky
did have a little cheeky feature. Then you went away for a bit, but tell everyone who you are, what you do, and a little bit about T2KO, because I haven't touched on it too much because I wanted to save the episode purely for this, because I think, you know, you've got a massive voice, and obviously we've grown to a little bit of subs now and a lot of views, and I really just want people to know what T2KO's about and what I'm essentially trying to raise funds for as well.
Yeah, and you've done a great job of that, Brody, and I really appreciate it. Who am I? Yeah, my name's Zac Pettit. I'm 28 years old. For anyone that gives a shit. I'm an electrician by trade. This is also my studio, so I'm a podcast host for Talking Whack with Zac, and I am a founder of a non-for-profit organisation called T2KO, which stands for It's Time to Know Osteosarcoma, and I'm a ultramarathon runner, which is essentially how T2KO was started. In 2014, my best friend Zane Robert Collier was diagnosed with osteosarcoma, and within 14 months, he had his femur removed, so the osteosarcoma was found in his femur. He had that removed and replaced with a titanium rod from his knee to his hip. And then within that 14-month period, he had it then spread, metastasized, meaning spread to your vital organs. So it spread to his lungs, and they gave him 4 months. So like at the start of 2015, or I'll say March, April. Yeah, they gave him 4 to 6 months, and he passed away August 24, 2015 at 19 years of age. So, you know, it's a big shock to the system. Being his best friend and watching from the sidelines is extremely traumatic, and it really affected my mental health and well-being, and that led to a really difficult time for myself where I was numbing pain and just getting very intoxicated. Drugs and alcohol were heavily involved in my life in that period of time. I was freshly out of high school, had no real vision or idea of what I wanted or who I wanted to be. I was just really angry and disappointed with the world. You know, I thought my best friend was just kidnapped and taken away from me, and, you know, the world let me know that he was gone and that he was gone. So, yeah, I was a very bitter person back then, and I think it just, you know, over time, I just gradually decided to talk up about it, and in 2021, when lockdown was a thing, I really decided to do something for Zane's legacy, and I'd recently had a shoulder op, and I decided, you know what, once this shoulder's healed, I'm going to do something that really, cements his legacy. So I loved to run. I'd never ran a marathon, but I'd ran something close. So I ran 32 kilometers for Beyond Blue a year before that. So I knew that I could potentially run a marathon, if not an ultra marathon. A lot more people within my community knew what osteosarcoma was, and also a lot more people knew the battle that Zane had, and, you know, how he refused to give up, which is what our motto is at T2KO, refusing to give up. And that's exactly what you are seeing today. And to just watch Brody and myself be authentic, and also, you know, put our bodies on the line to help others understand what osteosarcoma is, and then to also help others who are battling with it. So yeah, it's a beautiful thing that Brody's decided to do. I haven't been around as much, but I've been doing other things on the sidelines myself, and we're going to be jam-packed for another really big year in 2024. So thank you, man.
That's all right. It's going to be a ripper year. So most people know how Zac and I met, but I'll let Zac tell his side of the story. And yeah, maybe I was lying on my part of the story a little bit. No, I wasn't. But
I was thinking, I was running 100 kilometers in the Simpson Desert, so I just wanted someone to help me configure a promo video and to get the word out. Brody and myself had a meeting, and in that meeting we ended up deciding to get Brody across to the desert with me, which was a very tough battle. What was it like?
Yeah.
It was a good 2 weeks of grinding and getting him flights to the desert.
Very intense.
We actually missed the flight. He came to the desert with myself, and we'd only known each other just under 3 weeks, I think. We were there for like 2 days. I was there for a week before the race. Brody was there for like 2 days before the race.
Yeah, roughly.
Yeah, we both realised very quickly that we have ADHD. Yeah, Brody's also an osteo. I don't know, have you dropped that as well?
I have, but like I don't cover it much.
I was lucky enough for him to be an osteo as well, so got a lot of work done. And then he videoed the race. Brody stayed up for a total of like 36 hours videoing myself and a whole heap of other runners. And I think I finished at 12:30 the next day, and then we were up for quite some time after that. And, you know, something I missed there that was pretty important. And Brody and I found each other because, you know, Brody wanted to do something within the field to help someone else and do it free of charge. And a lot of people tagged myself and T2KO in his post on Instagram, and that's how we connected. So it was a very good thing and for Brody to do and to help the non-for-profit and for those suffering and battling osteosarcoma. So yeah, really appreciative of you, Brody.
That's all right. We had a ripper time.
Yeah, it was great, and you know, we raised a lot of awareness, a lot of funds, and that's what Brody's doing now, and he has been doing for 21 weeks, which is pretty incredible. So it's crazy to think that, you know, not even a year ago we didn't even know each other, and now we've raised awareness for osteosarcoma, which is a form of bone cancer, and we can get into that a little bit later. But, you know, tens of thousands, hopefully soon hundreds of thousands have an understanding of what osteosarcoma is, and the more that know, the better.
Yeah, 100%. This isn't what I was going to talk about, but from this as well, like I've had people message me saying, their sons or daughters have been impacted by osteosarcoma, and then just sent them to 2KO, and whatever you guys can do to help, you try and do. So, which is the good part about it as well. That's what I found. What's incredible about social media, like daunting when you think about it at the start, and then what you're trying to do.
Yeah, you feel like you have a lot less privacy. You give that up to spread awareness as well.
Yeah, 100%. Yeah, I think, obviously I'm doing the Ironman to help you guys and try and raise as much awareness as we can. But, people also don't know the things you're doing this year as well. And, Zac's decided to run from Adelaide to Melbourne, which is a pretty big one as well. If you want to touch on that a little bit.
So Brandon's running from Bondi to Melbourne, Assumption College, Kilmore. And I'm running from Glenelg College to Assumption College, Kilmore. Yeah, we're going to meet at Assumption, and then we're going to run to Revolver upstairs, and hopefully we can make it a ticketed event. And then, we're going to raise a whole heap of money and just spread awareness on our trips interstate. And we'll try a clock on average 70 kilometers a day for 10 to 12 days, hopefully. Adelaide to Melbourne is roughly 790 kilometers from memory, and I think Brandon's run is over 1,000 kilometers. So
yeah, he's about 1.1.
Yeah, roughly.
Yeah,
can't remember off the top of my head, but yeah, it's going to be a crazy couple of weeks. So if anyone's listening to this and wants to sponsor us with either a RV, maybe just a hug or something. We're thinking of ways to make sure that people know what 2KO is, people know what osteosarcoma is, and we're involved in that as well. So if someone's walking up to Brody and seeing him at an event or out swimming and says, "Hi Brody, I follow you from YouTube," well then, Brody's done his job, because Brody knows that if they know him, they know what osteosarcoma is. So, that's the whole point behind 2KO, and the whole point behind what we do is to turn people's heads and, get the attention, but it's also to educate others because, I think it's time for some change.
At the end of the day, we're just two blokes that really just want to try and get the best out of what we can. And
we have a whole team. There's so many,
so much that goes on behind the scenes.
So many people putting in effort, whether it is with fitness and achieving these outstanding and crazy goals and achievements, or if it's business side of things. People all have an involvement, and it's quite incredible to see the impact we've had in such a short period of time. So really looking forward to this year and releasing some footage of not only the vlogs but of people that are battling this disease and really showing the rawness and the reality of how detrimental it is to young people's health in particular, because osteosarcoma affects those really between the ages of like 16 to 25.
Crazy to think about.
Yeah,
being in that age group, Yeah,
it's ridiculous because you're in it now, and I've just come out of it, and
I'm able to vlog something like this every day. On YouTube, I'm mostly happy most of the time. And you just think like, it could be completely opposite. You could not be able to do this stuff.
Yeah,
it's something that you just don't think, like it just doesn't, you can't comprehend it.
Your whole life's taken away from you, really. So it just reminds you how lucky we are just to be here, to be healthy and happy, and to give someone our love and support. There's so much things that go into it, but we're just lucky to be here and
100%.
and healthy, so we don't take it for granted. It's something that obviously when you wear 2KO merch, or when you're around us, or we finally come together again. I know life takes us, splits us apart, and then we come back. It's just a reminder, and every time you get that reminder, you you work a little bit harder in the gym, but you got to make yourself aware of, let's just be thankful for what we have in front of us. And you know, if something shits you, like you spill your milk, whatever it may be, you know, instead of gritting your teeth.
Yeah, it's not that big of a deal. Yeah.
It's not. It reminds you to be so appreciative of this time we have right now, and really support those around you that are loving and supporting you. And it's a good time to thank your audience. And it's such a quick growing audience. You've been doing this for 21 weeks, as I've just said before. And
yeah, that's insane.
How many subs do you have now?
11K, I think. Yeah, crazy. I've said it before, like every single time. I was like, there's no way. You know, I thought potentially by this challenge, maybe 1K, and then that's 1,000 people that know about osteosarcoma. But yeah, 11,000 is just crazy. It's like 2 schools.
That's insane.
Yeah, insane.
2 schools, smaller than 2.
What? It depends on where your school is.
You're going to a massive school.
Well, I did go to a sports academy. You've spoken about it a little bit already.
Yeah, so I'll touch on it again.
What is osteosarcoma for those? I've touched on it a little bit. Never really got into too much detail because I wanted to let you speak about it. But what is osteosarcoma? Basically, what we're raising awareness for, and how did it impact your life?
Osteosarcoma is a bone cancer formerly found in your long bones. It can metastasize, meaning it can spread to your vital organs. And if it spreads to your vital organs, your vital organs, your percentage chance of survival goes down dramatically. It impacted me because, as I said earlier, Zane Robert Collier, my best friend, was diagnosed with osteosarcoma in 2014, so in our year 12 graduation year. And in 2015, August 24, he passed away, sadly.
I think it's been one of those hard things for me to come across, and we've spoken about this before. And it's something that obviously I don't think I'll ever understand, you know, losing a best mate so young, especially during the high school period. How'd you get through those times?
Yeah. It impacted my life. It was quite detrimental, I think is probably the best word to put it. And I numbed the pain to the point where I abused drugs and alcohol just to actually feel something. It's interesting because, you know, as the weeks would go by and you'd fall into the weekend, I'd notice myself socialising to its extreme and not getting home till Monday morning and you know, feeling like I was normal again because I could feel emotions and I could smile, cry, laugh, play, whatever. And then as the weeks would go by again, it would just be grey and numb and, you know, very angry and pissed off with the world. So, yeah, it really affected my mental health, and I was in a really dark spot for quite some time there, and I just didn't feel like I belonged anywhere. Almost felt like left out, I'd say.
Yeah.
I was really disappointed and like pissed off with the world that it just took my best friend from me with no real reasoning and felt like he was kidnapped. I guess it took years, like a few years, 3 or 4, before I really started talking to my family, talking to psychologists and pulling myself out of the rut, because I don't think there is any right or wrong way about dealing with grief. I think everyone deals with it differently, you know, based off patterns and you know, just the way you handle yourself in stressful periods of life. And I think this can also coincide with ultra athletes and how they respond to stressful environments. And this is why I put myself in really stressful situations like running ultra marathons. Yeah, me and Brody talk about it in great depth because, you know, some days he's really exhausted, and we spoke about it just before we got on the pod. We said, how do you go, Brody, you know, when you're not feeling it? And it's not that we're giving you a different version of ourselves, because we are giving you the authentic version of us. But sometimes your body's given up, or your mind's given up. And when your mind gives up, that's when you have to dig deep. And this is where Zane's motto of refusing to give up comes out of us, because we realize or remember why we're doing this and why we want to achieve it. And of course, partly it is to achieve it for ourselves. There's always going to be, yeah. And it's a big aspect. It's a huge aspect. Don't get us wrong. But when you're a part of T2KO's community and you feel it and you live and breathe it, it's for a whole different ball game. And going back to that question, I've just diverted here, there, and everywhere. But yeah, it's just running and talking and speaking on podcasts and being my authentic self and showing emotions. I've cried on numerous amounts of podcasts. I've cried in settings on Instagram and group settings and really expressed who I am as Zac Pettit, as a man, but a founder of an organization and someone who's been through horrific pain and trauma. Now, we can help beautiful people that are battling it, their friends and family, and we can spread awareness to 11,000 people like yourselves, and that's the beauty of putting yourself in a stressful environment and pulling yourself out of it, because you can find light at the end of the tunnel. And we've had more losses. We've had a loss since Brody's been involved with T2KO, and it's going to keep happening, unfortunately, until we can help with preventions or help find a cure or help with researchers and research facilities. So there's a lot that goes into it, and we have so much hope at T2KO, and we have a refuse to give up attitude. So, it's just the beginning, really.
So obviously mental health and men's mental health is a massive one at the moment. I personally have never dealt with any real mental health issues, to be honest. So that's why I don't speak about it or talk about it at all. But you're someone that's obviously experienced the full thickness of it. Is there any advice or anything you'd like to say about that? You don't have to.
No, I'd love to. I think, I think it's probably more important than ever just to be super vulnerable right now. So the last 2 days, coincidentally, I've had really, really crazy thoughts, and not good thoughts at all, really bad thoughts. But what I realized, especially through meditation and breath work, is, I was in a really dark period just before I met you, actually, say, January through to March. And what I learned, through psychology as well is, you're not your thoughts, especially through meditation. You really pick up on these. We are not our thoughts, we might be consumed by them, but we aren't our thoughts. So it's something you really have to focus on and be aware of. And I think it's important just to remind yourself that we aren't our thoughts. We are the individual. So that's one thing that I've really been aware of. I think mental health as a whole, for some people like yourself, you can be straight as an arrow, and I think that's great. I'm glad there's people like yourself in this world. But I'm also, I have this very serious side on this not so serious side. Brody knows all too well about it. Yeah, we've got people like Brody and then people like me that are a bit of a roller coaster. But it's just sitting in whatever, emotional feeling that you are feeling and feel it rather than numb it, like I just told you and explained about on dealing with the loss of Zane. Rather than numbing the pain, you have to feel it. It's that simple. Like you really have to feel what you're feeling and allow it to pass. Sometimes I've said to Brody something that might have been a little bit off, and he'll just be like, "Oh, what's up? What's happening? Do you need are you okay?" Or, you posted this. Did it mean this or did it mean that? Just to try to get a better understanding of, of where I'm at. He tries to voice how he's seen it, and then also give me reassurance that he's there to support me. So yeah, there's a lot of different ways to go about it.
I think that's the amazing thing with 2KO though. Yeah, I think that's the amazing thing with the community that you've built as well.
Yeah,
like everyone just goes, everyone just helps.
Yeah, and I think we touched on that in the desert. And for those that are wondering, we are building a
documentary,
beautiful documentary, showcasing the desert as well as the beautiful woman that we lost last year, Tess McMurtry. So it's coming along, and we want to showcase that to you guys soon.
A lot of 2KO athletes do endurance events like an Ironman or a marathon to raise awareness for osteosarcoma. Do you want to touch on that and why basically the 2KO supporters or 2KO athletes do that to raise awareness?
The original vision that I had, and I really haven't really told many people, if any, even on a podcast, is when I was deciding what I was going to do to help Zane's legacy, he lost his femur, so then he lost the ability to walk to a degree. And then his lungs, slowly was filled up with tumours. So my idea was to do something that, honoured his battle. And I thought, well, what type of endurance sport, or what type of sport any really targets that? And I thought, okay, running.
Yeah.
And I was already running, and I'm very creative, especially, when I'm out by myself walking my dog. And this is how this idea came to fruition. And that was to just run as far as I can and spread as much awareness as possible. And that's what I did. I just had a vision, and that vision hasn't gone anywhere. All it's done is had a ripple effect through my community, your community, and so many other communities. The ripple effect is crazy, but that idea came, I did it, and now other people are realizing Zane's motto, refuse to give up, lives deep within us. And it's not just on a physical level, but also a mental level. Obviously touched on mental health, but when you are in an endurance sport, you're obviously putting yourself through a massive amount of stress, and it's purposeful. It's and
there's a reason to it.
There's a reason to it, and as humans, we give up so easily. Like, especially if our body's involved. If our body's sore, you're gonna just try tap out.
Yeah, 100%.
Because when there's pain involved and suffering involved, you're going to find every way within yourself
to stop doing what you're doing.
That's enough.
Yeah.
There's so many times that Brody would go out and he does like, I can't be bothered. I don't want to do this today. I want to just be on the couch. And that's the thing. So you get out there and, the first couple might be terrible, or the first couple you might be flying.
Yeah.
And then before you know it, you might get a sore knee, or you might get, a sore back. Or when you get over that hurdle, when you realize you're capable of achieving these things, one, you feel like superhuman. Two, you realize that then flows into everyday life. And this is why we're here today. Once it flows, and this is your relationships, your friendships, your relationships with your parents, business, creativity, all these things just go, and before you know it, you're like, wow, what crazy ass hack is this in life?
Yeah.
And to me, that was just like the biggest awakening ever. It's even like having the courage and the strength to talk about mental health in front of a camera, to talk about the loss of my best friend. It goes so deep, and endurance sports bring out the best in humans, 100%. And you can see it now, and everyone's thinking running's a fad and all this stuff on social media. It is a fad, but who cares? I hope it's a fad forever, and it will be, because everyone is just trying to do their best, especially after this really stressful time in COVID. And it's an endless route for friggin' depression. And then you realize if you just turn that fucking goddamn TV off and go run, life is so much more simple. something clicks, and in the documentary you'll see something click for Brody, and it's probably realization. And I might take this away from him because he might not understand himself, but how close he was to seeing death, how close he was to seeing a young person even more vulnerable than us, and talking about death. It's that, and that can click and help someone understand life and the world a little bit easier. And he's since then gone after it and got it, and he's doing his absolute best to get a time that he wants, finish the event like he set his goal to, and spreading awareness for 2KO. So it's incredible. It's an incredible achievement already, and he's only 20 weeks in.
How can anyone watching this on my YouTube channel help you guys out and help raise the most awareness for osteosarcoma, pretty much the grueling disease that it is?
Yeah, so you can find us. Our website is t2ko.com.au. You can also find us on Instagram at T2KO__, or you can also find us on Facebook, T2KO. Oh, we also have a LinkedIn as well. Anyone's wanting to be a 2KO athlete or become a 2KO athlete, the more the merrier. So we'd love to have you guys on. We'll get you kitted out in a 2KO athlete attire, and we'll help you set up a My Cause page and link where you can set one up, and then all funds will be donated to 2KO, to us directly. So we greatly appreciate that. And we'll cover your journey on our Instagram page, and you'll be a part of an incredible community helping those in need. So thank you.
So that'll wrap up this week's episode, episode number 21, which obviously is not what most people expected, as I've only really been documenting my training and what I've been learning. But thank you for sticking around if you have, and thank you for listening to Zac's story. Thank you for Zac to jumping on, talking a bit more on the vulnerable side. And, I've really appreciated it.
No worries, man. Thanks for having me, and I really appreciate what you're doing for 2KO and the wider community.
Nah, beautiful. That's a wrap.